I'm Alex with Storyline Travel. At Storyline Travel, we're family travel specialists, helping families create memorable experiences through travel. This video, we're at Denali National Park, watching the dog sled demo.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Kennels. My name is Lauren. I'm going to be doing the dog demonstration today. So just a couple of logistics before I let you loose off the bus. First of all, you will be guaranteed a bus back down to the visitor center. It might just not be this exact one, so please make sure that everything that came with you comes off the bus with you today. As for bathrooms in the area, this is the only bathroom in the area, so if you have to use it, please use it before walking down the path to the kennels. Excuse me, I have breath running around all morning. When you get down into the kennels, you'll notice there's two different housing styles that our dogs are in. Some of our dogs are on leads and on a gravel pad, other dogs are on concrete pad and in pens. There's no temperament difference between the dogs. The difference mostly is that we have puppies that can't be on leads yet. We have females that go into heat. And the biggest thing is we have dogs that eat rocks, so they have to be on the concrete pad. So as for interacting with each of the dogs, you'll notice that there's ropes up. You're welcome to lean into the rope and safely reach over and scratch a dog if they indicate that they want to be pet. As for the dogs in the pens, if they kind of start loving up against the fence, you're welcome to reach your fingers through and scratch them as well. Yes, these awesome dogs that you'll get to learn about today, they are athletes. They're on a pretty strict food diet, so no feeding any of our dogs in the yard. And we ask that you just walk through the yard at a leisurely pace. Don't run through. I know it gets really exciting. We've got brand new puppies that are in the yard right now. We've got a lot of young dogs. But in the summer, this is their off month, their rest season for these dogs, just like professional athletes. So we want to keep them at a calmer level of energy and everything like that. So at about 5 minutes to 10 o'clock, I'll make an announcement for everyone to move to the formal stadium for the actual program. So thank you.
When the opportunity presented itself to come work for the kennels here, come be one of their volunteer rangers over the winter, I was super excited and thought about it for a couple of weeks. And when I finally made that decision to jump into the unknown, and I called my mom, who lives 3,800 miles away down in Michigan in the lower 48, and shared with her the news that not only would I be staying in Alaska for the winter, I probably would be coming home for the holidays. And after she hung up on me and ignored my texts and calls for another day while she processed the news of her daughter making this really scary unknown decision. She called me back and we talked about it. It was really exciting because it was something that I've never done before. Where I grew up, we don't really have sled dogs, we don't really have dog mushing. My mom doesn't know much about it, and neither did I, to be honest. And so it's really exciting to get to share that and kind of learn that with my mom. But she definitely was nervous for me. I'm sure a lot of you could relate to someone that you love or care about jumping into a really scary situation. But a couple weeks later, after telling mom and having that conversation with her, I got a package in the mail. And my mom does love to send care packages, so I was expecting the typical, beef jerky, goldfish, Skittles, that kind of stuff. Maybe a pair of socks. It seems like mothers always send pairs of socks in care packages. But when I opened it, and inside what I saw was one of my favorite gifts to this day that I've ever received. And I'm getting excited about that. One of my favorite gifts to this day that I've ever received. And where my mom in Metro Detroit found this gift, I have no idea. And what this gift was is she found a poster, and on the poster it said, "Advice from a sled dog." It's got a bunch of cheesy little phrases on it. I'm going to use it to launch off of my program a lot today. But it was this is just a print of it, but it was this cute poster. It says "Advice from a sled dog," and a lot of things that you can learn from dogs, and things that, like I said, I received this before my winter, before diving into this experience and the physical demands of working as a musher over the winter. But all of these things I'm going to hopefully share with you today, and share how the dogs taught me these things, and hope that there's at least a couple of these that you can pick off of this poster and take away as well. So we will jump back to this. First, who would like to see the dogs run around? Yeah. So we can get some dogs up here to talk about as well. Awesome. So they respond best. We do. They just were giving us a really good example. So what I'm going to need you guys to do is howl right back at them. One big old howl. So 1, 2, 3.
גם של הצוות וגם של הכלבים. בסוף זה לא צ'וי או צ'ייס שמפונה וזה, הם לעשות עבודה. באיזה כושר צפוי.
Awesome. How's that, guys? When you are out in the middle of 6 million acres of wilderness, and all that you have is your couple of human coworkers that you're with, and your many dog coworkers that you're with, you really learn the true meaning of teamwork. And I think that a lot of us here as humans have been on a team in one way or another, or we love a team, we support a team. These guys are athletes as well, and are a team as well. Most people's base knowledge of sled dogs has to do with the Iditarod. Who here has heard of the Iditarod? Yeah, so and sometimes we have guests that come here that have gotten the opportunity to actually go to a racing kennel and visit with other dogs. And so one of the most common questions that we get asked is, why are these dogs so much bigger? Why do they look a little bit different? So instead of being race dogs, these guys are what we refer to as freight hauling dogs. So instead of racing long distances like your sports car is going to do, these guys are achieving other goals and other missions. And they're more of what we refer to like of a truck build of a dog. They're pulling really heavy gear, heavy loads of materials for distances. Historically, these dogs have been used to patrol park boundary. They've been used for subsistence use by Native Alaskans and Native people of the North for thousands and thousands of years. Sled dogs are nothing new. But these freight hauling dogs are going to achieve a different mission than the racing sled dogs. That's why they're a bit bigger. We've got Blitz here. You can see he's got really long legs, really big paws. That's going to be the biggest difference between the freight hauling style of dog versus that racing dog. Like I said, the car comparison is is an easy way that a lot of people can visualize that on here. And so I think that is something that all of us humans can relate to, and the importance of how essential it is to do things that we love and love what we do. As you saw, like when the dogs started howling, like when they were getting excited to, pick me, get hooked up to get on the sled or the cart and run around today. It's so true that these guys really love what they do. At some of the hardest parts of this winter, the most physically demanding times, the most cold times that I was on the back of the runners, I do remember there was a day that I was along the Tuckanuka River. If anyone's been farther out in the park, you cross the Tech Bridge going out to Eastwood. That I was along the Tuckanuka. She's one of our hunters here. She's really good at keeping mice and things out of the cabins in the backcountry. She's a pretty reliable mouse getter. But on some of the hardest days out in the backcountry, I remember a day, like I mentioned, being on the Tech River, and it was just one of the coldest days ever. And I remember thinking to myself, man, was my mom right? Was this going to be too much for me to handle? I remember thinking and looking to the dogs that were in front of me and seeing how, every time we'd stop and wait for our skier out front to break us a little bit of trail, and every time I'd say, all right, ready? Let's go. The dogs just get so excited, and channeling that love that they have for this job of theirs is so beautiful. I think that we oftentimes wake up in a world that can be scary and turbulent. Sometimes looking at the news can be frightening, and keeping what you love, the people that you love, the things that you love close is really the only way that we can get through things sometimes. And these dogs, I learned that immensely, you know, Ruby was getting through negative 40 degrees and being cold and my feet being cold, but for us it could be any number of challenges. Warm-hearted. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand, and it's, you know, like I said, when I saw this, it was the most cheesy thing on the planet. I was like, where did my mom find this? But after experiencing a winter, these things really, really spoke to me, and really spoke to me after experiencing time and learning from these dogs. You know, being warm-hearted and loving what you do is just, it's so important, and it's so undeniable when you see these guys run, and you see how excited they got and how amped up they were over there, hooked into the cart. It's just a really magical thing. A lot of people ask me, how quiet is it in the winter? And I always respond with, well, you should hear Story, who's one of our dogs in the yard when everyone else is being quiet and she's yapping and saying, let's go, why don't we stop right now? But that just, jumping back to what I talked to at the beginning of my program, is that verbal communication and, you know, the language that I speak, English, is not always the only way to communicate. I can tell that Story jumping up and down, getting all excited means that she truly, really does love what she does. So, we're going to learn a little bit about these guys individually, and I'll mention a couple of the really cool aspects about each of these dogs as they go back to their houses. And then some of the dogs are going to be able to run back to the houses free. A couple of our other dogs might be walked. They're still learning that test to run back to their houses. But we're going to send them back, and we'll talk a little bit more, and then I'll have everyone stick around for a couple more logistics, and I'll wrap up my program, and I'll set you all loose to say hi to some dogs and ask some questions. Came from a different kennel from us. We get asked a lot, are all the dogs always born here? To keep our genetic diversity kind of spread out a little bit, we'll trade dogs with other kennels. And then Jewel actually is Blitz's dog too, as well. So, next up we have Venture, who's going to run back to his house. He's a pro. He's one of the studliest dogs in the yard. He's what we refer to as our authentic hamster. Blitz, without let us forget about him. We have Blitz going back. He, besides our new 4-week-old puppies, Blitz is from our second most recent litter. He's about 11 months. Super amped up, as you can tell.